Welcome to the Bella Vista Gardening Program. I'm Jerry Horner, and joining me today is Ann Iwen.
Hello.
A fellow member of the Bella Vista Garden Club. And today we're going to be talking about orchids from around the world and to be used as houseplants. So a lot of people have orchids, but a lot of people are afraid of them. So we're going to talk about them today.
Yeah, they're really not that intimidating, so don't be afraid.
Yeah. So we will also be talking about upcoming events and things to do in your garden for March, as the new gardening year begins pretty strongly in March and April. So, and the upcoming events, we have the Bella Vista Garden Club Benefit Card Party, Card and Game Party. That's going to come up on March 15th at the Bella Vista Community Church on Lancashire Boulevard from noon to 4. And reservations can be made by going to our website, which is bellavistagardenclub.com. It's very easy. And there's a link right on there. You can get the information. Tickets are $12 a person. There's a table of 4. And we have a limit of 50 tables, so it always fills up.
I've heard wonderful things about all the food that's served there.
Yes. We have hosted 13 of them, and it gets better every year. So, and the proceeds go to the Dorothy Wallace Scholarship Program, so it's really a good event. So, but today we're going to be talking about orchids, and there's just thousands of varieties from all over the world. They're from every continent except Antarctica. So they're native to every place in the whole world, but there's just thousands of them. And we have some here that we'll show later, but I didn't know if you had seen the article about orchids. It was in the Democrat Gazette a couple weeks ago, a week or two ago, and it's just an article about orchids that
all the beautiful pictures and colors
and a lot of good information about how to care for them. And you know, it was just a great article that that you could read all about orchids. So there's a lot of good information in this article. So.
And you can probably still find that online.
You probably could, yeah. And like I said, it's good, good overall information. So, but we have some pictures today of a lot of orchids that from around the world, and like I said, a lot of them are from South America, warmer climates. But the first one is the tulip orchid. Now this is Angola, and it comes in white, yellow, or pink, and it looks like it's a tiny orchid. So it blooms a little differently than some of the other orchids. It's more like
I've never seen that one
coming out of the ground. So these are, you may not find these everywhere. Yeah. But, they're just different.
At the big box stores, you just find the more common ones.
More common ones. And then this is a miniature Associatrum. And it's a miniature because it's kind of compact. It's a compact form. And
a lot of miniatures have a really nice fragrance.
Oh, they do. Most of the orchids are very fragrant. And now this one is good for hanging baskets. It's the Brassovola, and it's such a pretty little shape. But I think it hangs down, more than standing up. So it would be great for a hanging basket. Now this one is the spider orchid, Brassia, and this is called Toscana, and I've seen these at some of the stores, sometimes, florists have them too. So but it's called a spider. You can see why it's called a spider. Yeah. It really looks like a spider.
The Little Shop of Horrors type.
Yes. And this is the Catalea. Now, we used to see these in the 60s. And, you'd always give your mother one of these for Mother's Day or Easter. And William Catalea discovered this in 1824. So, it's been around for a long time. And, you used to use them as wrist corsages. So you walked around with a big orchid on your wrist. And they were just very, very showy.
Yeah, when I met my husband, he said he grew orchids. And in my mind, that's all I knew about was the corsage orchid. Yeah.
Well, when we thought of orchids, we thought of this orchid. Yeah. Because that's all we saw. And they're just very showy and very big. And I don't even see them anymore.
I don't either.
I don't see them at all anymore. So they just kind of.
And unfortunately, I've killed mine. I had a plant, but I've killed it.
Bye. Okay, then this is the Canochis. This is a swan orchid. And you kind of see it looks like a swan. And it has male and female flowers on the same plant, which is rather unusual. Some of these orchids are so unusual because they do unusual things. So, and then this is the Cymbidium. Now, do you have Cymbidiums? Do you have
Yes,
them?
I have some Cymbidiums.
And they're from the Himalayas, and there's so many varieties. They can have flowers that are 2 to 6 inches wide. They're just different varieties. And their spikes can have 10 to 25 flowers. You know, they're just very prolific. But they're a beautiful flower. And there's another variation. So some are green, pink, blue. I'm not blue, but if you see a blue one, it's been
dyed. Yeah.
So they're not blue. Okay. And then this one is the Dendrobium. And there's 1,200 species of this one. They're kind of purple, bright yellow, or white. Now, this is one, sometimes they're dyed blue at the, when they sell them. There's another variety of it. But if you see an orchid that's that deep, deep blue, almost like black, it's not the actual color. It's been dyed. They put dye within the plant.
And the true orchid experts frown upon that, but it's just an insult to them.
Right. No, the orchids should be the way they grow. You know, they shouldn't be fiddled with, you know. Okay, then this is called the Dracula. It's called Vampire. And this is the monkey-faced orchid. And you can see the monkey face in there. They're so different. And there's 110 varieties of this one. They're very unusual. Just a strange-looking bloom. Then this is the Encyclia. This is the cockless shell orchid, and it has very delicate blooms. And I'm not sure how tall it gets, but it just so, the flowers are so delicate. Do you have any of those either?
No, I don't have that one.
No. Okay, then this is the Epidendrum. This is the oldest in existence that they know of. It's got 1,000 species. It goes from deep red to soft pink. And some people use grow lights on this one. I think it needs a lot of light. Most orchids need a lot of light and humidity. And
we've had the best luck using the grow lights. They just seem to bloom more readily and are much happier.
Well, they're from the tropics, so they usually get a lot of sun. So they're used to a lot of light. So they need light. And then the next one we have is the Heralea reticula. And it's easy to care for, and it's a miniature, compact little orchid. And it has a citrus fragrance, so it has a citrus smell. And then this one is the jewel orchid, Lucidia, Lucisia. And a lot of people just grow it for the leaf.
The leaf is gorgeous.
You know, the foliage is beautiful. It's just different variations of color and stripes and modeling. You know, it's a beautiful plant. Just
honestly, I can't even remember what the flower looks like because the leaf is just so intriguing.
You know, when you see pictures of them, you don't even see the flowers because they're kind of insignificant compared to the foliage. It's so pretty. So that's what makes it a nice house plant because it can add interest without being in bloom. Okay, this one's from Japan. This is an Ophioliata, and it's from Japan, China, and Korea. It has very delicate blooms. It's just really a sweet little thing.
It's like sort of like a little angel there, with it all flared out.
And then this is the Oncidium. This has been pretty popular too. You see these in the box stores sometimes too. So and they need constant humidity and moisture.
Yeah, they're not very happy in most of our homes during the winter because the humidity gets so low.
Right, you need a lot of humidity for these to be happy. There's the Phalaenopsis. This is called a moth orchid. It's really popular and easy to grow, and it's got a lot of varieties of color.
Lots of different colors.
The Phalaenopsis, they're hard to say.
Yes.
It's called a pansy orchid, and it looks like a pansy, the little flower, and it's native to South America. And then this is the vanilla orchid. It's white with 5 petals, and it's related to the vanilla plant. So when you get your vanilla, and you can see the little buds down there, this thing would just be beautiful when all those buds open up. And the Phalaenopsis, we have some here in the front of the table from Lou Jasper. And she's loaned us some of her blooming orchids, and they're all Phalaenopsis. There's white and there's hot pink, just a big variety of color. And so sometimes the leaves get a little abused sometimes if you have cats or something, or if they fall over. But,
or if they get a little too much sun,
right,
or too cold.
Yeah. So the Phalaenopsis are very popular, and just about any color you can think of.
And they're really the easiest to grow, I think.
And they are easy.
Yeah.
Now, they have such a beautiful, and they have good fragrance too. And this is a little one that I had gotten from as a gift. And you can see it's really tiny. And it had 2 blooms on it when I got it, and there's 2 stakes here that the blooms were attached to. Now you can either attach the blooms to the stake or leave them free-flowing. You don't have to attach them, but most people attach them to a stake to hold them up. Now this one really needs to be repotted. It's okay if the roots grow out from the plant,
yes,
but this one is a little too
It needs a little more.
It needs
substance
more
down
medium,
there, yes.
to grow in. And so this one needs to be repotted, but you can see how small it is, but it's still bloomed beautifully when I got it as a gift.
Yeah, it's
it had 2
amazing
blooms.
that you can buy something that small with just a tiny little pot,
Right.
and it will have flowers on it.
Right. So the Phalaenopsis are very, very popular, so kind of look for those. And the one in the front that she had was that hot pink. She said that's been blooming since November.
I can
so you
believe
have
it.
a very long bloom period on that.
Yeah, as long as you don't have anything to pollinate those blooms, they can last up to 3-4 months.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're just beautiful. Some people just buy them and they let them bloom for that time. They throw them away and then they buy a new one. But I can't throw a plant away.
It's
still
hard,
alive.
isn't it?
It's hard. That is hard. Okay. So the other pictures we have this is called a peacock orchid. And it's a miniature and it's very hardy. It tolerates temperatures down to freezing.
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
And you can simulate winter by placing it in the refrigerator. So it's kind of the only one that I'm aware of that is so cold tolerant.
That's a new one to me that I didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get one of those and it won't mind my cold drafts so much.
Yeah, maybe not. And it comes in purple, white, yellow, and bright pink. So it's a lot of different varieties of it too. And then this is a tiny one. It's known as the smallest orchid, and you almost need a magnifying glass to see the bloom. And years ago, we went to Gordon's nursery, Bear Creek Nursery, and he's really into orchids. He had some that were so tiny, you had to have a magnifying glass to see the bloom. It looked like a little speck, and when you looked at it through the magnifying glass, you could see the leaves. Little petals, but you couldn't see them without
I would lose
using a
that one. Yeah, the cat would carry it off.
They were so tiny, but they're little orchids, just so unusual. And then this one is Psychopsis, a butterfly orchid. It looks kind of like a butterfly, and it's good for beginners. It's eye-catching colors like burgundy and yellow with speckled foliage, so it's eye-catcher. If you have that in your home. And let's see, the last one we have is Zycotalium. It blooms on a constant basis in the fall, growing through spring. And it just is a prolific bloomer.
Yeah, I've never had that one either.
No.
So it's a very nice one.
And it's large and fragrant, and it can be, maroon, purple, chartreuse, and they say it's very easy to grow. And like I said, if you're an orchid lover and you don't have a greenhouse, it's a little more difficult to grow some of these orchids. If you have a greenhouse, it's probably a lot easier. You can control the moisture and the humidity, but and you have a greenhouse now too.
Just take a hose and spray all over the gravel floor, and that
it
just
makes all
releases
that
humidity in the air. And
that's what they love, yeah. So all the houseplant orchids, they all love humidity and being warm. They like to be warm and humid, but they don't want wet feet. So when you water them, the the roots coming out, look like they're roots, but there's a covering on those membranes called velamen. And it actually covers the roots. So when they get kind of a white or silvery look, they need water. And then after you water them, they turn more green.
Yeah.
So you can tell by kind of looking at your roots sometimes if it needs water.
And sometimes, something that small, I will just take it and dunk it into the bucket of water.
Right.
And then turn it upside down and don't let the water sit in the crown.
Right.
Because that will encourage rot.
Yeah, it will. And I've also said that, if you put it in a pot and just cover it with water to the top, let it sit for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just let that really absorb the moisture, then drain it really good. Let it drain totally before you put it back in your, let me a decorative pot, keep them in a decorative pot. But, and the only thing you don't want to do ever is water it with ice cubes.
No, I can't believe
that. Seeing these things in the store says just put some ice cubes on top to water it. Well, don't ever do that.
No,
Would you like to be fed with ice cubes?
No, I think they're just saying that so the plant will die and you'll have to buy another one.
That could be. That could be. But you just don't ever want to water your plants with ice cubes, especially orchids.
Don't do the ice cubes.
Do the
no
ice cubes. No ice cubes. And you need a good potting medium. It's usually kind of a coarse bark, and you can buy it at most of the box stores.
Yeah, and when you get it, it's sort of dry, so pre-soak your potting medium overnight or something, and then drain it good and pot up your babies.
Yeah, and then sometimes you even get a baby blooming out on a stem. When you get your floral stem that comes out, there may be some leaves growing out from that stem, and I forget what they call that. It's a baby, and you can take that out and root it.
Oh, okay.
And have another plant. And I did that with one of mine one time. It had one of those babies that came out, but I can't think of the name of that baby.
Some people call them kiki, Hawaiian word for baby.
Yeah, like a kiki.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then fertilizing. I don't know, what do you use for your fertilizer when you fertilize?
Well, let's see. I wrote this down because I knew I would forget. The thing that we found works best is very high in phosphate. It's 11, 35, 15.
Okay, so that middle number is your phosphate. So
it's the bloom booster.
That's the bloom booster. And I've always heard the term like weekly.
Yes.
Meaning a weekly or, a week fertilizer done weekly. So
yeah, just make it half strength or less, and give it to them every time you water them.
Right. So I've heard fourth strength or half strength, but not a heavy feeding, just a constant feeding, because that bark, the water just drains out of there. There's really no soil to hold that.
If there's soil, it's going to die.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't want soil because it needs that air and the roots to survive. So they're more of an air plant than they are a ground plant.
Yeah, because I think in nature they just grow on trees.
Sometimes.
And they're kind of just using their root growths to hang on to the tree, and whatever moisture falls, that's what they feed on.
Right. But they really don't want the moisture in the crowns.
No,
so
they do not.
I've lost one like that by having moisture in the crowns. That's not a good thing. So, and you just got to watch for pests. You can get spider mites or scale. It's not a normal thing, but it can happen.
It can happen.
So just kind of watch them.
And it spreads quickly. So if you find one, remove it, get it out of the house, and treat all the rest of them with something like that safer, soap, basically insecticide soap.
Insecticidal soap. And you can make that with Murphy's oil soap.
Oh, okay.
You can take like 2 tablespoons of Murphy's oil soap and in water, and then that, will kill your mites and stuff. So Murphy's oil soap is a good medium to use for your soap.
Because I just hate the thought of using all those toxic chemicals.
We don't want to use chemicals on orchids. That's not a good thing. So, okay, so when you do buy them at the store, you're going to get the Phalaenopsis and the normal kind, but there's also going to be a sale and show.
And there you're going to find a lot of the more exotic ones.
Really unusual ones. It's going to be the Orchid Society of the Ozarks It's their orchid show and sale at the Botanical Garden in the Ozarks. That's in Fayetteville. And that's going to be on March 1st through the 3rd. So, you know, if you're watching this program early in the month, you can get there. It's on Friday, on the first Friday from 5 to 7 in the evening.
Yes.
And I think that's mainly for the members. I'm not sure.
It may be, and the workers, so they get first dibs if you're volunteering, which is only fair.
Yeah. And then Saturday it's open from 9 to 5, and Sunday from from noon to 4 on Sunday. So you need to pay $7 to get in, but that also allows you to go through the botanical garden. So
and that's
it's like
really
a 2 for 1.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful garden. It's a very, very nice garden.
All the perennials should be waking up a little bit.
It should be getting some things blooming. And but they're going to have a lot of orchids to sell. And they also have a seminar, basically. It's I forget what the name of it is. Oh, it's just called Orchid Basics. And that's going to be at 2 and 3 o'clock on Saturday and 2 o'clock on Sunday. So there's just going to be a little Orchid Basics seminar. They can.
I imagine they'll do a show and tell, which we didn't do here today,
right.
like how to repot and all that.
And just the basics if you're just not familiar. But they just have some wonderful, wonderful orchids to sell.
Yes, that Orchid Society. They have a monthly meeting also, and the members will bring in for show and tell, and I think they have a little judging every month, and they bring in some beautiful orchids that you don't find in the big box stores.
Right.
So I know there will be fancy things at the sale.
Right, and they like to share. All of us gardeners, we love to share what we have, you know. So you'll find some very unusual ones if you're looking for something different, and they'll tell you exactly how to care for them, you know. So you'll have the information you need for them to thrive. So anyway, it'd be a great thing to attend. And I haven't attended one yet. I was trying to get to this one, but they have one in the fall also, I think.
Yes, they have a sale in the fall.
They have a sale in the fall. So
were you a member of the Orchid Society at one time?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
That's one thing I didn't join. That's one thing. But
too many things.
Not
too
yet.
many things. Yeah, I was for a short while, but it kind of fell by the wayside. And yeah.
But they do have some great meetings and good information. So that's all about orchids, and I hope you've learned something about orchids.
Yeah, or have been inspired to learn some more.
Yeah, and pick one of those up and enjoy them and work with them.
And if it dies, well, you've wasted $10 to $15. Just get another one. Yeah. Don't fret over it.
Yeah. So, but there's things we need to do in our gardens for the month. March is when we really start gardening. You know, February we kind of slacked off a little bit, but in March we really have to get in there and
it's time to get to work.
And you got to sort through your seed packets and see what you're going to plant. They're usually good for 2 to 3 years. You know, just because the date's like 2 years ago, that doesn't mean the seed's not viable. Some seeds are viable for 10 years. You know,
or longer even.
You just have to sow a little more generous. You know. And then you don't want to plant your annuals too early. They come out in the box stores in March. You can't plant your annuals in March. They're going to die, and you're going to have to replant them. And I think they do that on purpose.
Oh, of course they do. It's like the thing about putting the ice on the orchids. They want you to have to buy some more.
Some more. But wait until the temperatures are like 50 degrees at night before you put your annuals out. And then you have to clean up your beds.
Yes,
I haven't done that yet.
Well, I have, and you know, it's time to cut back your ornamental grasses and wear long sleeves. Otherwise, you look like you've been in a barroom fight.
That's right.
Those grasses are very sharp, and what I do is I take a bungee cord and wrap around the whole big clump, and then use the hedge trimmer and just whack it off at the bottom, and it's easier than sitting there and breaking your hand, clipping.
Big grasses can be a challenge.
Yes.
They really can. And even the liriope, because I know when we do our liriope, I have, you know, I'll hold up the clump and then I have my husband just clump it off, you know, and then put that in the compost. But you have to cut them back before the new growth comes up. If you cut the top of that new growth off, then
you're going to have not a very pretty plant for the whole summer.
And then the bulbs, you can plant your spring bulbs. There's a lot of spring bulbs to plant that we just talked about them, I think, last month, about fall blooming plants or bulbs, and like gladiolas. And you can plant your gladiolas like in 2-week intervals, plant some and then wait and then plant some more, and then you're going to have a longer
continuous,
blooms.
longer period of bloom
Yeah.
for the summer, yeah.
Then you want to fertilize your tulips and daffodils with bone meal. When the buds start emerging, then that'll encourage the blooms to be a little larger. So.
And the tulips, if you have deer, they're probably going to try to eat
yeah.
them, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Spray the stinky stuff, try something.
Yeah, I put chicken wire over
Yeah.
them. I do that too. And on all your bulbs, do not cut off your foliage after the bloom is died. You can cut your blooms down, cut them off, but don't cut your foliage.
No, you have to
that
leave it.
feeds the bulb for next year, and if you cut them off, you're not going to have a bloom.
That's right.
So for
They
next
have
year.
to make more food for the next year's bloom.
They just feed it and go
it's
right
not
down
very
in the
pretty, but just live with it.
Yeah, it's only for a few weeks,
Yeah.
6 weeks or so. And then, of course, houseplants are, like our orchids.
Yes,
you
it's
have
way
to
too
take
early
care-
to put those out. They'll get cold, just like the annuals we were talking about. You can't really set your house plants out until you can plant your annuals. So
Right, yeah.
gotta
So
make
I'd
sure.
say, one at night it's 50 degrees
Yes.
or more. So, and the alons, you want to apply your pre-emergent by March 15th. Get your pre-emergent out there. And then perennials, we can start dividing perennials for our plant sale.
Yes,
probably in
because I have
March.
some that are overgrown. We're going to have to divide those.
And some of them are coming
yeah,
up. So
you'll see little, the peonies right now. You can see the little things sticking up
just
out of the ground
starting.
already.
Yeah, and so you can do on your peonies and wisteria. You can use superphosphate on those now, and they'll bloom a lot better. So, and then your vegetables, you can plant your kale and your lettuce and your peas, and onion sets should be put out later in the month. So, but start planting your vegetable garden, and then. You can start your seeds.
Yeah, I don't know about garlic. I planted mine last fall.
Yeah,
and
you
it's
plant the
already
garlic
sprouted,
in October,
so, yeah.
and then you will pull those out in June or so. So, and then keep your watering, keep monitoring your trees and shrubs that you planted, and you can plant your trees and shrubs now. It's a good time
Yes,
to
it's a
plant.
good time.
Yeah. So, and then if you're looking for more information on gardening, you can go to the Bella Vista Garden Club. We got a lot of information. And our next meeting is going to be on,
Tomorrow.
well, it's tomorrow from the taping day. It's March 27th.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
No, wait a minute. February.
February.
We're still in February.
We're still in February. Okay, it's going to
I'm
be
behind in
February.
gardening if it's already the
Yeah.
end of March.
Yeah, so February is going to be the 27th. It'll be 27th. And it's, we have a representative from the Department of Transportation that's doing a program on wildflowers. So that's going to be a very interesting
Yes,
program.
I'm anxious to hear that one.
Yeah, so I'm going to fortunately
I've
miss
been
that one.
gradually converting a lot of my beds to natives, so and that's what they use in the medians
Right.
and things. So
Right.
yes, I'm interested to hear that.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have a little lunch prepared by our members, and it's we start our social time about 10:30, and then they have a lunch, and then they start the meeting and the program. So it'll be guests are always welcome to the garden club. You don't have to call or
show
make
up.
reservations. Just come.
We're a friendly group.
Just
People will sit
join.
with you and
Right.
introduce you if you wish.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
So it's a fun
very nice group.
We learn a lot. You learn a lot. And then you want to mark your calendars for the Benton County Master Gardener Expo and Plant Sale. That's going to be April 27th on a Saturday, and we'll be talking about that more later in the year. And the Garden Club Plant Sale again, the first Saturday of May, always. And that's Saturday, May 4th at the wastewater plant.
And I hope to have some orchids to put in that plant sale.
That would be wonderful.
Yes, yes, I
That's
hope
something
to.
to look forward to.
I know they're not going to sell if they don't have a pretty flower, so that's the only
that's-
deciding factor.
That's the bad part, you know, unless you have a picture of what the flower
Yeah.
looks like, you know. But people really want to buy plants that have
Yeah.
flowers.
It's hard
so-
to sell this.
That's
it's
right.
easy to sell that.
Oh, right, right. So you can tell them this is going to be beautiful, but so
Color
anyway.
sells.
Yeah, it does, it does. Well, thank you, Ann, for coming and
Well,
sharing
thank you
your
for having
knowledge
me.
on orchids, and I think we've all learned a lot about orchids. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and will join us next month. And until then, don't forget to stop and smell the roses.
Okay.